If you pray to God long enough and hard enough, will God give you a Ferrari? Some people think so. They read the words of Jesus in Luke chapter 11, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you. For everyone who asks receives, and everyone who seeks finds, and to everyone who knocks the door shall be opened. And they read that as, if you persist in prayer long enough and hard enough, God will give you what you want. God will give you your dreams. Sometimes Mark chapter 11 and verse 23 is quoted in addition. Jesus says, you can say to this mountain, be uprooted and be cast in the sea. For if you believe and do not doubt in your heart, whatever you ask shall be given to you. Those verses are not a blank check for all of our whims. They're not a blank check for some faith that can get us anything we want, nor are they the ability to fulfill whatever we may want, whether or not it's good for us. So let me remind you of one small thing, but first an irony. Sometimes there are some inconsistencies in our lives. I was reading about a rock and roll star from a previous generation that once drove up to a friend's house who was ill and began talking with him about living the simple lifestyle. Before the rock star drove away, it was just noticed that he was driving a $240,000 super sports car called a McLaren. Simple life, but that's how he's living. Sometimes there are some inconsistencies in our life. And our inconsistencies sometimes come from not paying attention to all the words of Jesus. So how are we to understand, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you. To everyone who asks they receive, to everyone who seeks finds, everyone who knocks the door shall be opened. Let's go back to two verses earlier than Luke chapter 11. In Luke chapter 9 and verse 23, Jesus said, whoever would come after me, let that person deny themselves. So all of our prayers begin with discipleship and self-denial. Why would we want something that's going to be a temptation? Why would we want something that's going to be a distraction? If you think about it, the disciples of Jesus never asked for chariots. They never asked to be carried in litters like the Roman senators would. Prayers emerge out of self-denial. But there's a second thing. Just a few verses before in Luke chapter 11, Jesus taught them to pray for daily bread, God's kingdom. Remember in Matthew chapter 6, he taught them to pray, your will be done. So before we ever decide what we're going to ask or seek, we can ask ourselves, are we denying ourselves? And do we want God's will above all else? Not something that's going to distract us or be a temptation, or not something that we think would be good, but will be dangerous in the long run. After all, remember Adam and Eve? They thought eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil would be good for them. It was delightful to the eyes, it was desirable to make one wise, but it wasn't. So Jesus says, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you. But first, let the Spirit guide you, and let the words of Jesus guide you as to the things you should ask. And when you're in the will of God, the sky is the limit. This is your daily devotional for Thursday. I hope you're doing well. I hope you'll seek first the kingdom of God, and hope you'll pray for the church and pray for me, and hope you'll be preparing yourself for our wonderful day of prayer on September 30th, where we're praying according to God's will, not according to our desires, which may lead us astray sometimes. Your kingdom come, your will be done. Ask and you'll receive, seek and you'll find. God bless you as you serve him today.